Good day, listeners. Welcome to Startup Kitchen Talk, where we discuss startup apprentices becoming master chefs. Today, we're going to dig deeper, load a ton of new tech together, and create some rock foundation and farm on new ideas. Hello, welcome, Vijay, Nerva from Bobcat.
Yeah, hey Kate, good to be here.
Lovely to have you here. Thank you. First question. Let's dig right into it. Did you play with diggers when you were a kid?
Well, I did not. Maybe I did play on video games, on simulators, but that's something that I did not think I would do in this current day.
So tech and diggers, but that's still stuck.
Yeah,
with
we're
you.
just taking some of the tech used on video games and putting it on the field. That's something new, isn't it?
Yeah, that's new, and that's also sounds like the first video game that would actually interest me. So, what age did you start playing with diggers?
Well, I think it would be quite late in my 20s playing with actual diggers. But when you talk about online, I think I've always, when I look back, I did play Farm Simulator and some of the other simulators out there. Maybe when I was in my teens.
But offline diggers, that means you would shop at Bobcat.
Oh, that's late in my 20s.
When I say Bobcat, what I think of is either cute cat or, loud noise, heavy machinery. What do you think of?
Well, we're trying to change some of that.
Not the cute cat, I hope.
Yeah, no, well, the cute cat is nice, but we're trying to change the perceptions here in the company. But yeah, I mean, we love what we do. We like to dig up dirt. That's what we're good at. That's what we've been good at for 70 years. We're just trying to change the way how we do it, in this company.
With less noise?
Less noise, more technology, and to make construction sites in general more productive. That's what productivity is. Money at the end of the day. Everyone wants to say that.
And so when you introduce you say, hi, I'm Vijay, I'm responsible for innovation of Bobcat in Europe, Middle East and Africa.
Correct.
So what is the response from the people?
Like Bobcat innovation, how does that work? That's the kind of stuff we hear from people all the time. You would not believe one of my first instances when I joined the innovation team was actually going to the Middle East. We were at a cow farm. We were trying to understand issues that a cow farmer had. That's how deep you need to go when you're trying to understand how such an industry can embrace technology. So yeah, that was the first week. I was at a cow farm in the Middle East in, I think, boots deep cow dung. And
you finally play with diggers then?
Yeah, well, it took some time because the next week I was in California and meeting a startup. So, you could understand how this industry...
Straight from farm to Silicon Valley then.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. And that's the world we live in right now, And then, of course, one of those instances, we also learned how we could, embrace technology as a company and put that into machines. So things like remote control or no person inside the machine, So those are the kind of areas it opened up for us, when we started doing that.
And what did that visit bring you? That Middle East farmer visit?
It changed the way we perceive technology as a role to drive productivity in this industry. Here's the thing. What I keep telling people when I speak to them about technology for technology's sake is counterproductive. When you visit actual customers, actual users, not even talking customers, because in our industry, they're different people sometimes. Technology, just for the sake of technology, is junk. We don't want to push junk. We want to push stuff that adds value. And it could be value anywhere, beyond the product, software, hardware, it could be anywhere. So we are very picky in terms of what technologies. Now, that being said, we explore everything, we implement some. That's our strategy.
Can we be a little specific? Like how much of what you see then you end up implementing? Like are we talking 1%?
Well, let's categorize into silos. If we categorize into 4 or 5 silos, and what we, let's say autonomy, we see a lot in autonomy, but for us to implement, it normally requires to understand a lot more detail into cost structures. How do you associate that with the machine? Does it bring value? Does it apply to any job site? Because construction machine, unlike a car, which goes from point A to point B, also does a job C, So it's really complex, and you need to understand all those different nuances before you apply a piece of technology. So if you want me to put a number, I would say out of 100 things that we see, we probably go with 2 or 3.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah,
I was just thinking if it's
we filter
like
out a lot.
easier to implement change and
No,
new tech into Bobcat, or comparing to venture capital and the succession.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's very different because this industry is heavily regulated in terms of operator safety. There's a person sitting inside. It's his job, and it's also his livelihood. You need to be careful, because safety and awareness, they always come first for us, no matter the technology. And just technology for the sake of technology, again, adds no value if it doesn't address operator safety and awareness. So we keep a balance, let's put it this way.
Of being innovative and safe.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Until there's a person inside the machine.
Mhm.
When there is none, then it opens up a whole different world of possibilities for us. Um, yeah, that's how
Yeah,
we.
we'll dig into that a bit later.
Sure.
But let me ask, what is the most techie thing about Bobcat?
Well, the a lot of techie things that we do. Again, as I said, we like to experiment, and we like to go beyond our industry. When we do our research and we look at technologies, we like to go to industries where those industries are not even visible, from a consumer electronic standpoint. So for instance, we partnered up with LG. LG is creating the next set of televisions for your homes that are going to be transparent when you want it, interactive because they're touch, and they can show things in augmented reality. So we brought that into our machine and showed it at a trade show and at CES show, which is a consumer electronics show. And hell yeah, we're present there. Um, we showed that to people, and people couldn't believe that. First of all, there was something called a transparent OLED screen, just like Iron Man, from the
Mhm.
movie Iron Man or some other sci-fi movies. Putting that on a machine and having it, show things from an operator standpoint is just mind-boggling for them. And it was, first of all, it was unbelievable. You cannot really explain it without seeing it. So if you go on YouTube, you can probably find a video of how that works. But we try to envision what the future of an operator cabin would look like, and with maybe less plastic, no plastic, clean, completely customizable, doing things that are going beyond what they can do right now. And yeah, we were one of the first companies in machinery, not just, I'm talking about machinery, I'm talking about also automotive, that we've shown that, you know.
And how far are we from it? Like making farmers Tony Stark?
Oh, we're quite far. Depends on what, again, Kate. Depends on, which applications. There are certain applications or certain areas of farming, because farming is huge, or construction industry is huge. There's so many different verticals. I cannot even verbalize, or probably I don't even know. There's so many different verticals, right? For instance, we have 100 different attachments just for a certain machine. So you can imagine all those attachments have different verticals, right? There are verticals within farming or construction where it's going to show up, so that you're seeing a lot of autonomy happening in the vine industry.
Yeah.
So vineyards, one of the startups that we actually invested in, does exactly that. They're doing autonomy at vineyards, and they're doing electric and autonomy, so together. And those are just one of the
Just
applications.
picking up the grapes?
Yes.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So
So wine can be finally cheaper?
well,
For
depends
the
on
not so frequent
California people.
confuser.
Please don't take this against me, but yeah, for California wine, it will really help.
Yeah, for Napa?
Napa Valley.
Then-
Yeah, I don't want to take any names here, but yeah, it'll be nice to bring them prices down for sure.
Oh, yeah. And so how does the partnership look like? Do you invest in startups or do you buy them?
Well, so far we've invested, we've bought scale-ups, but our strategy is, we don't look at strategy in terms of, we want to invest a certain percentage, or a certain dollar amount. We invest in value, and if we see the value is driven by, I don't know, a certain percentage, we do that. If we see a value is driven by acquiring them, we do that. So we don't really have, let's say, strategy saying, we just have to invest a certain percentage. It doesn't
Mhm.
work that way. So we invest in value, and then the value determines what kind of investment it is.
And so it really doesn't matter if they are in pre-seed, seed, Series A.
Well, typically, if you look historically,
Yeah.
we've done somewhere around Seed A,
Yeah.
Series A, um, and that's been typical so far. But maybe it changes. I cannot really comment on that right now.
Of course. But so you mentioned that the people, were very surprised when you say, "Oh, Bobcat and innovation. What the hell? What the heck?
Yeah.
How did that happen?" So what do you then tell them? How do you see the goal of the innovation department of combination of Bobcat and new tech?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the challenges, right? How do you explain a company like us in an industry like us doing innovation and working with new technology? And I asked the question, why not? That's what I ask. This is an industry that has been, I wouldn't say sleeping. Sleeping would be a little harsh, but I would say a little lagging behind digitization compared to other industries. And that has made it unattractive for people who want to work in this industry, in construction sites. And you can see with the current demographics that there are labor shortages mostly affecting this industry. How do you address an industry need without people? Well, whereas the industry, in terms of productivity and GDP contribution, is still growing, right? Construction will always happen. It's never going to stop. The way it's done, that'll change, and we're just leading that change, the way it's done from a machinery standpoint.
Yeah, so definitely turning diggers to Jarvis could make it cool again.
Why not?
Why
Right?
not? Yeah.
Why? I mean, what wouldn't you like to just sit in your backyard, and if you wanted a new pool, hey, I don't know, you can say Bobcat or whatever you want to call it. Say, hey, I would like to dig a pool.
Here.
Yeah, or maybe it's a rental company that you hire machines from. Today, the way it works is you go to a rental company, you hire a machine. If you have a license, if you don't, you hire a person who does have a license and he brings the machine. What if that future holds something where you don't need to do that? You just hire dig a pool, or make a pool.
Yeah, the complete product, the finalized version.
Not the finalized, because you need components,
Yeah, of course.
things like tiles and stuff like that. But with the basic digging part, plumbing part, or like the trenching part, that can be done. And there are technologies that are working in different silos that are addressing those different needs. And maybe you see a combination of that in the future.
So what verticals are you mostly interested in? I would say automobile.
Yeah, well, automotive is a big driver
yeah.
for us. There are certain things that we can learn from them. Although I keep saying these days that they can learn some from us as well that we are doing. Or electric is one of them, which comes back to sustainability, right? And again, we'll talk a little bit about it in coming minutes.
But is there more?
Yes, AR, VR. That's another vertical. Those are verticals. Keep them separate. Those are things, and then also diagnostics. Machine diagnostics, predictive maintenance. That's where AI plays a big role. What if you could tell your customer when their machine is going to break down? Much in advance, so that he doesn't need to call the dealer. The dealer calls the customer and already has a machine as a replacement if it's going to break down. Or what if it could tell an operator, hey, you know what, you're not using the machine properly, so maybe you should use it in this way. Just think of video games. When we started playing these video games before the PlayStations came out and the Xboxes came out, you'd play this video game, put a cassette inside, and you'd always have this ghost racer, right, that you would try to beat. And imagine you're the same as an operator sitting inside. You're not an expert, but you have this ghost mode where you're trying to follow an expert operator. Why can't we do that? Technology-wise, we can do that. And these are just some of the crazier ideas that we have to change this industry. And I think this is where it's going to make this industry more fun for people. Imagine your summer work. Imagine, I don't know, teleoperating it from wherever, sitting at home or sitting wherever for between your school time. So we're trying to push the boundaries as much as possible by embracing tech, because we know that we make good equipment. We've done that for 70 years. We started this industry. I don't think we need to work on the equipment. Okay, we will. Again, there's a whole division that just works on that. But how can we work with the best companies out there, startups, scale-ups, you can talk about whoever, and bring that in terms of productivity to back to our customers. That's exactly what we aim for.
So, are we talking more hardware or software?
Good software requires great hardware, doesn't it? So again, if you imagine our machines, every machine has a controller, which is basically like a CPU processing unit. And today, limitations in terms of what you can do with the machine is always the hardware, right? No matter which machine or even in a car, most cars today use what they call a TDA4. Maybe I know it's kind of technical, but it kind of gives you an idea of what limitations they have to deploy things on the street. And for us, our strategy at the company is or has been always think forward in terms of what digital things you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Give you a great example for that, and comes back to remote control. So we have a remote control out there in the market that you can just download from your phone, install a kit on the machine, and it makes.
So you can drive Bobcat from your phone?
You just can't drive. You can operate,
Operate.
which is even more, because driving is going from point A to point B. That's not what a Bobcat does. That's not what a construction machinery does or agricultural machine does. Agricultural machines or construction machines do work. That
Let's see. Yeah.
represents work. And what this piece of technology lets you do is not just drive. Drive, yes, everyone can drive. It's a remote control toy then. What it lets you do is also operate attachments. So you have 100 different attachments that you can, 100 plus, that you can now operate. Plus, it's also modular. So that means you can add sensors in the future where, that's our strategy, make it modular, where you can have obstacle avoidance or some form of conditional autonomy. However, the thing I'm going to stress more on, and I get excited and goosebumps start for me, is the fact that you can take that piece of hardware um, and retrofit a machine back to 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So 2006,
Okay.
we already planned for, I would not say exactly
Retrofitting, yeah.
retrofitting, exactly what would happen in 2021 or 2020. So
Instead of pushing new line like iPhones.
exactly, because
Yeah.
we don't, I'll be very honest, we don't have the scale in terms of units compared to automotive or FMCG.
Yeah.
So for us to make a business out of digital, it makes sense to retrofit or have a retrofitting strategy. Like most companies, that are smart. If you're a smart company, do retrofits. Keep that in your strategy, in your long-term goals. So that's what we did. We made a controller. Again, it has its limitations in terms of other applications, but for this application, it worked. So you could go back to a machine that comes from 2006. If it's a joystick machine which has I don't know CPU on board, you can plug in that kit and it works.
So you were really planning on this since 2006?
We didn't plan on the product. We plan on the long-term strategy.
Yeah.
The product is just it's an offspring. Let's put it this way. The strategy is long-term, and you need to make sure that whatever you're planning now, at least from a platform side, has that long-term strategy in its vision. And great companies do that, right? They have that in their long-term strategy to make it modular.
So that's 18 years, man. So
Yep.
what's in the next 18 years? What are you now planning for that will happen in 18 years' time?
Well, here's the best part, right? You see the NVIDIAs, you see
Yeah.
the AMDs, controllers are getting amazing, right? They're just getting so nice. We're getting to play with all those things, different things, different pieces of technology.
It
Different
seems like you guys always play.
Yeah, we do. That's innovation for you. All we do is experiment on wild things, on crazy things that not just this industry is not seen, but also other industries are not seen. It kind of sounds really naive to say that, but I think the more you experiment, the more you understand what you don't want to do than what you want to do. And when you know what you don't want to do, you can prioritize on what you want to do. And that's exactly what we do here. Work on all this different stuff, work on all these different technologies, and see those niche markets where it can get a progressive start before it goes to mass production or mass failure. People need to know that you need to embrace failure as well. It's important to fail, so that this doesn't work or this takes a back seat. So we keep that in our strategy. We put that in our strategy.
Can you give us an example of successful startup cooperation that you either bought or invested in?
Yes, sure. So we're a machinery industry. We know there's a labor shortage problem. We know demographics are killing it. Um, we know operators do not get the same experience in terms of training when they join job sites today that compared to a couple of years ago. Again, we're a generation that is impatient. We've always been on a phone or iPads or laptops.
And it's costly, right?
It's costly, right? And there are more maybe attractive industries, right? So you get lesser people, jumping on job sites. And what happens? The operator who was sitting is not aware of his surroundings. It takes years to learn that. He doesn't have years. Work needs to be done now. So autonomy was a strategy, and one of the big things that autonomy requires, requires sensors, different kinds of sensors to understand objects, classification, etc. So one of the first startups we actually invested in was Einstein radar sensors. So there are a lot of companies that make sensors. There are a lot of companies that make radar sensors. Einstein makes state-of-the-art imaging radar sensors. Why? Because it helps us understand our environment so much better when it's in a machine. It's also robust. Again, one of the other issues in our industry is you can have a great piece of technology, but it has to be robust because it's a rugged environment. It's not a road that is smooth. It's not the autobahn. It's like dusty, muddy. There could be snow, there could be hail. It has to stand all those different things, and it makes it really complex. So it has to be extremely complex in terms of computational power, yet it has to be rugged. And there are not a lot of companies that do that today, right? So how do we bring that technology and scout those technologies? So Einstein was one of them that makes these ruggedized imaging radar sensors and other sensors. And we invested in them, and we're going to see some units being rolled out in the market.
So how long did the whole process take? Since you met them for the first time till the farmers can use the equipment with Einsteins in it.
Yeah. So here's the thing. In our world, commercialization takes some time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because there's
it's
a lot
understandable.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like in cars, right? You have a lot of regulatory things that you need to accomplish. Standards need to be written if they're not written. So. For us, we invested in Einstein roughly about just before the pandemic or during the pandemic, and again the market was a little weird that 1 year, and then we are close to commercialization now. So yeah, that's how it works. The other example is Bobcat Max Control. I mean, we launched that during the pandemic. You can, if you're a customer that has a Bobcat machine, or if you rent one,
That's the remote control.
that's a remote control, Bobcat Max Control. If you have an iPhone, just go on the App Store and download it. You can play with it without even connecting to your machine, just to see how it works. We launched that in 1 year during the pandemic. So it just depends on when the market needs it. When the market is available for such embracing.
Of course, it's easier to launch a software app and implementing hardware sensors in your new machinery.
Correct.
That makes sense.
Correct. It's a fine balance. A lot of the different technologies require changing of CPUs and computers, and it makes it far more complex.
To quote one of your customers on YouTube commenting on your product, a whole lot of power for such a little thing. I swear I'll never try Texas accent again. A few years ago, you decided to go full Tesla and shift to electricity.
Right.
Was that part of the innovation strategy and innovation department as well?
Yes. So sustainability is a key part of our strategy. We know how people view the construction industry in terms of emissions, etc. And there's very little that has been done so far as an industry. We believe emissions is not just ICE emissions. It goes much beyond ICE emissions. So when you talk about emissions, it's also about vibration. It's about noise from the machine. It's about fluids. Every car or every machine has fluids and leaks. It goes to the ground. It seeps to the ground. It goes to the water. We're trying to eliminate all of that. So we came up with the conclusion, hey, you know what? everyone's doing electric. We want to do all electric. So we completely eliminated all the hydraulics on the machine, and we replaced them with actuators, which, for a fun fact, actually come from the airline industry. The airlines industry used hydraulics before, and they switched to actuators because less maintenance, less noise, etc., etc. It's a great example of borrowing from other industries and packaging it in a way to address a common need, which is sustainability. And the best part is, and this is what we say to our customers who want to try it. Sustainability is the side benefit that you get. The real benefit of an all-electric machine is software that helps you customize your experience as an operator. Plus, it is freaking powerful. It is so powerful. It's so powerful we had to dial it down somehow. It's a very powerful machine. You got instant torque. What does a machine do? It has to break concrete or it has to dig. One of the issues is, how do you dig quick? And if you get instant torque, if you know an electric car, why they are so fast is because you get instant power to the drive motors, the motors that run the wheels. Same concept here. It just gets instant power and it breaks through any pile out there. So when you show that benefit to customers, you change the narrative saying, yes, you get sustainability too, but look at all these different other features.
Yeah.
You get less maintenance, less total cost of ownership, things like that. That makes them click, saying, oh yeah, I never thought of it this way.
Because this is something that I always thought about, always, like since we started talking, because construction workers, agriculture workers, builders, they are rarely known as these, early adopters.
Right.
So you need to persuade them with other features.
It's about how you sell a thing. You need to sell an idea. And what we've realized, we've done our experiments, some worked, some didn't work. I can be very honest about it. What you need to realize is the best solution cannot be a trade-off to an existing solution.
Yeah.
You cannot be a trade-off. If it's a trade-off...
It's like an upgrade, you mean?
It has to at least be on par or above, So when you pitch it in a way saying, you know what, I know the only thing that is holding you back from making a switch to electric is the fact that it's not reliable, so that sustainability is the side benefit, right?
So that's how you persuade the Bob the Builder to go electric.
Exactly. You can do way more on this machine than you can do on a diesel machine. Plus, we have data to back it up. So all our machines have telematics. So you get data that tells us how often a machine is run, how many hours is run. So we know runtime of machines in certain applications. When you give all that data to customers saying, you know what, here's your runtime. Here's on average how much it is used, and here's an electric machine. Because on an electric machine, like a car, when you're idle in traffic, it consumes zero power.
And did the Bob the Builder believe you?
Yes.
Like when you say, "Oh, it's gonna be,"
it's a funny story because they didn't at first, and then
because that's what I would think. So it's such a conservative.
What is
segment.
This? So we disguised the machine as a regular machine.
Oh, so you play the audio of combust engine?
Everything. It was
really?
It was a dirty looking machine that looked like a diesel machine. I'm like, okay, how will that work? They sat inside and they're like, oh, the machine is on, because in an electric machine you have no noise.
Yeah.
And now you had an electric machine with actuators, so you have no hydraulic noise. They couldn't believe the machine was on first.
Yeah.
And then they put the throttle full, and they're like, oh, this is really, really powerful. So when that happened, they got what we like to give customers. It's called instant gratification. Mm-hmm. Every single mobile app that's been on your phone that you've not deleted in maybe 5-7 years gives you that instant gratification. The moment you open it, within a click or two, you get your gratification. That's what our strategy is into every product you put out there. It has to drive instant gratification. It can be the smallest of things. It has to address that customer emotion, and it's sold. Your hard work is done. No marketing can beat that. Mm-hmm. No marketing can beat that. The other thing is you supplement it with education, educating the market on new technology, new products. So when you put that together, you get magic, as I call it.
And is the Bobcat's goal to go full autonomous one day?
Well, we want to create an autonomous machine. We're working on it. There are markets today that need it because there are no people or it's too toxic inside mines,
Hmm.
inside hulls of ships. We get people like customers, big port companies saying we don't want our we cannot find people for such job sites to work in these toxic environments, or they're not allowed to. So what do you do then? Would you stop work? Would the port of Netherlands stop unloading ships?
Hmm.
No, that's not going to happen. Work is going to happen. Someone needs to address that. So we're
So
working
you're
on.
slowly, the vehicle, the machine is becoming like a Mars rover thing.
It's becoming what is key part of our strategy is what we call Bobcat Machine as a host. It's a
Hmm.
host for digital services. So it's basically just like a phone. It's a piece of hardware which is great, but you have all these different applications for these different needs that you have. Because before,
Hmm.
think of it before, right? What was your need? Calling and texting. Even before texting, you just had calling. Now your needs are different. Same with our machines. Needs are different. How do you do that? You address that by creating this host and running digital services wherever the needs are.
I understand that Bobcat doesn't want to go the Nokia way,
Sure.
but do you think that Bobcat ever in history had this innovator's dilemma moment when either the company had to invest ton of money in something and risk bankruptcy because the chunk of the money was so big, or missing it, but maybe missing some tech revolution opportunity?
Well, I wouldn't go as far as saying from a bankruptcy standpoint, but when we did all electric,
Mhm.
um, if you open social media and look at those videos, you'll get some reactions, some strong reactions from people because it's something that is revolutionary. Anything that is revolutionary gets backlash. And
Definitely.
yeah, backlash is good, it can be bad. That was from a price standpoint also very different. You can buy a same regular machine for, I don't know, one third of the price. But um, if we didn't do that and if we didn't challenge the industry, uh, I don't think anyone would. We've been an industry that has been doing diesel forever. And again, we'll do diesel for a very long time. I'm not saying we don't do diesel, but we need to have alternative options,
Mhm.
just like alternative food. There are people who eat different. There's alternative market, and these are big markets, right? They're not small markets. Same here. We know there are applications that are big applications. It could be, I don't know, as big as 20%, 30% of the industry that require such machines that are oil electric, hydrogen, or fuel cell. Whatever you want to call it. And we're just working on it, and we invest a ton of money into it, no matter the market, whether it's up or down.
Mhm.
We will invest in the future. It's been a company that looks forward. We do not look at the present. The present is for us to learn, but the future is for us to understand where we want to be. You know,
And how risky was that for you to go full electric? Like, did you make a bunch of market research before that, or was that like a you know
well, we
gut calling?
it's not gut calling. It's calculated feedback over
Hmm.
years. So over the years, you want to do sustainable because it's good for the environment. But then you really ask yourself, what is sustainable? What are emissions? And then you categorize those things, and you're like, okay, well, I'm doing batteries, but is that really solving needs at job sites? Or is that really solving needs when you're sleeping in the city center and someone is digging at 6 a.m.? No, it's not. So, how do you change that? You create a machine by taking all these different feedbacks and implementing those technologies that help you address that. So, that's what we did. We looked at, okay, let's create a machine that addresses all these emission needs. That was the T7X. We created it and people laughed at you. They were like, what the hell? Then we found a customer, Sunman Rentals, that bought 100 of these,
Hmm.
instantly. So then people were like, oh, yeah, maybe that's a good application. Maybe that's a nice application. So that opened up the world of possibility. Every single company that tries to make a change, tries to come up with something new, gets resistance because people don't like change. It's a human nature, right? I don't like changing certain things. I don't like my dog growing up. So
and maybe operators in this industry are change resistant a bit more.
Yeah, they are, because they've been doing it for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. I think we should blame ourselves as an industry not providing them the options to grow and learn as technology evolved. And our responsibility as a company is going to be doing that, slowly pushing things that help the operator learn, adapt, and evolve. That's what we're going to do.
Is there some tech wave that you guys missed, and then you later felt sorry that you missed?
Well, not really. I think we've always been a company that really looks towards the future. I mean, even again, I can go back to the mobile remote control, using that as a host, having retrofitability as a strategy by itself gives you an idea that the company always tries to look forward. No matter if it's a downturn, the market is up, down, doing grades. That's been the strategy. When you have that kind of strategy coming from the top, you always look forward. You look forward to new trends. You try to bring those trends back. There are wake-up moments, don't get me wrong. Like, there are things like, happening in
Such as?
Well, you have these companies that are doing autonomous mowers, I think that's a growing market. That's a big market, and it's going to go bigger and bigger. And likely said, we also invested in a company called Greensy that does autonomous mowing software. So it just gives you a strategy. Yeah, sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. It's like, it's just about timing. For a company like us in an industry like this, sometimes it's difficult, but we try to be either on time or before time as much as possible.
Did we mention the name of the full electric vehicle? It's a Rogue X.
Oh, the Rogue X is actually all electric, and it's all autonomous.
It looks badass.
Yeah. When we showed that to people, especially at CES show, they were wow. We showed that at a construction show. They were like, "What the hell is that?" Why? I need my operator station. Well, it's a machine that doesn't have an operator station. The Rogue X is a amalgam of all the different technologies that this company is working on. It has sensors, it has all electric, it has level 3 to 4. That's target
and
autonomy.
Aren't you a little bit worried that Rogue X could go rogue?
Well, cybersecurity is a big part of our strategy, and we work with the best companies out there. Before we deploy anything, it goes through ruggedized testing. Now, that being said, you can never stop something from happening that is beyond your control. But as much as we control, it's our machine. Yeah, we make sure we have taken all the steps.
You mentioned that the app can be only on iPhone and not Android.
Yes.
Where is that?
Well, it's going to come to Android at some point, but we launched at iOS because iOS is a closed environment. Android is open source. And, again, we launched in Europe and the US, and we did not face any pushback from the market.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who wanted to buy Max Control bought a used iPhone. As simple as that. That being said, we're not saying no Android. That'd be wrong to say that. But it just happens that, iOS is more preferred.
Yeah, I was just thinking if there's any security reasons or if it's more like user base target group.
Well, we just say iOS is more preferable for us.
Mm-hmm. You are now operating in the CE. Are you looking closely on CE, or is it just coincidence that you're sitting here?
Well, we're operating globally, Kate.
Mm-hmm.
We have headquarters everywhere, right? We have the global headquarters in Seoul. We have the Europe, Middle East, Africa headquarters in Dobříž, which is very close to Prague.
And also very difficult to accent, Dobříž.
Dobříž, yeah. I'm trying to learn my zh. It doesn't really work. And
it has r and zh. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah,
to be honest.
so I call it DBR, just like
DBR.
DBR. And then North America headquarters is in Fargo, North Dakota. We're a global company,
But
and
yet you are, working hard lately on getting into the local startup ecosystem. You even flame gunned a piece of steak on a roof at
yeah,
a startup event lately while you were pitching. You were flaming
yeah,
and grilling a steak
yeah.
while you don't even eat meat.
I
So I'm
don't
saying, like, what is the point? Like, why do you want to be visible in the CE startup environment?
because it's a big market for us. It's a big market in terms of not just the industry, but it's a big market where our technology is applicable. There's a labor issue in Europe, you know that, just like the US, but it's more serious here. Look at the unemployment levels in the Czech Republic, for instance, one of the lowest in Europe, right? What does that mean for the construction industry? You don't find people. What does that mean for technology in construction or our machines? You need more technology. When we see that, and we see a lot of different startups now trying to address that,
Hmm.
that gets our interest. So now we're trying to see, and we're trying to understand what the landscape is like. And again, Startup Kitchen is one of the different platforms that we use to understand and scout that, and to see who's playing out there, just for an understanding. That's the plan for now. And then if we see something interesting, we will take the actionable steps that we've been taking in the past on similar experiences. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's
good
what.
to see that you believe in the CE.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think it has to come. It will come a long way. I think
Hmm.
it's going to be extremely competitive. Of course, the big players are in the US always. But I see this region giving the US competition pretty soon.
Yeah, and you believe in long-term strategy,
We do.
so
And that's
that
one
makes
of the thing,
sense.
right? When you think long term, we don't want to jump when everyone else is jumping in the pond. We jump before. We try to make our own space and then
And
be
by the
ready.
by the way, as a vegan, why did you grill steak at the startup party?
Well, here's the thing, right? Um, it's kind of it's like a ironical thing.
Hmm.
I don't really eat meat, as you just said, but grilling steak was basically telling people that we'll do anything it takes to
Hmm.
embrace technology and change this industry. That was the significance, you know. Um, for us as a company, we're trying to change not just the industry, the construction industry in terms of productivity, but also its perception. Telling people this is what we do, this is where the industry is heading, so they can understand. Even for startups that are still ideas, can understand that yes, there are players out there that are doing this, and they're relentless players that are trying to change this industry. And yes, my idea has a house probably someday. That's
Hmm.
the message here. That's the message to say we'll do whatever it takes to make this industry, of course, more productive, but also more, um, from a perception standpoint, better.
So willing to do what it takes.
We'll do whatever it takes.
But you didn't eat it, right? Because that
Well,
would
no,
be weird.
no.
You not eating meat.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like hosting, but like, as I'm sure someone
Like
else,
hosting, not eating.
yeah, because that's what you do. You want to grow, you know. Eh, we I believe in sacrifice. Like, sometimes you got to
Yeah, I was
sacrifice.
just meaning to say that it sounds altruistic.
Yeah, you need to sacrifice certain things in life. And same applies to professional and
And
personal.
startup life.
Yeah, and
And
startup
startup
life.
life.
Startup
So
life is not easy, Kate.
yeah.
Yeah, if you don't sacrifice, I don't remember where this saying comes from, but it was like, no sacrifice, no victory.
Yeah, no pain, no gain.
No pain, no gain, as I
No pain,
said.
no
But
gain. So let me just ask you one final question that I am obliged to ask all of my guests, and it is:
I mean,
you're not eating meat. So,
yeah.
what is the weirdest food you've ever eaten?
Well, I've eaten cricket protein bars.
That's not meat, right?
Yeah, it's, well, kinda.
Insect?
Yeah, well,
Can vegan eat insect?
yeah, well, my reasons for not eating meat are very different,
Yeah.
from other people. Um, I've certainly eaten raw insects while biking, in the Czech
No, you
Republic,
did.
but this protein bar was quite nice actually compared to the
So
regular one.
weird and nice.
Very nice. Yeah,
Like protein bar and cricket and like bobcat and innovation.
yeah, kind of like the
Weird and
Snowpiercer.
nice.
If you remember Snowpiercer, the movie,
Yeah.
yeah, they had a bunch of insect bars, right? Now let's not go that dark, but but yeah, it comes probably from there. It's just doing what you can and what you must and what you will to survive and thrive.
Thank you very much, Vijay, for being with us today.
Oh, this was fun. Thanks, Kate.